question is, how do I direct a scene if the scene is only about getting up some information across to the audience and there's no conflict? Okay, there does need to be conflict in every scene. If there is no emotional event in the scene, then you will have to take it out when you get to the editing room. It won't work. Anytime you find yourself saying about a scene, this is for information, this is to help the audience understand the plot, or, oh, here's a real red flag. Anytime you find yourself saying about a scene, this is a pretty straightforward scene, then all that means is you've got a lot more work to do. You've got a lot more work to do to uncover the subtext of that scene. In order for the plot events of a scene to work, or in order for the information to get put across to the audience, there has to be an emotional event in the scene. Another way of saying an emotional event would be a personal event, something that happens between the characters, a change in their relationship. It could also be called a relationship event. It's some way, one way to look at it is, how is the relationship between these two characters different at the end of the scene than it was at the beginning of the scene? And if you find yourself saying, well, okay, character A has conveyed some information to character B, and that's what's different about their relationship, then you haven't done enough work. A simple way to ask yourself the question is, are these characters closer together? Do they like each other more at the end of the scene than they do at the beginning? Or do they dislike each other and distrust each other more at the end of the scene than they did at the beginning? That's, one simple way to get yourself started about asking, what's the event in their personal relationship? So one of the ways you go about coming up with ideas for that is to ask yourself questions, first of all, about their emotional history. How well do they know each other? How long have they known each other? After you start asking some questions and getting some ideas about the emotional facts of their history, then you might start to get some ideas about their need toward each other. A need toward each other is another way of talking about the objective, which is another way of talking about a verb. An emotional objective is in the verb family, very helpful family for directors and for actors, is to think about what the character is doing emotionally or what the character wants emotionally. The objective is what the character wants, what the character needs. And these are ways to create conflict, create an emotional event. If somebody needs something from one person, the other person needs something else, whether or not one gets it or the other doesn't get it, that can be an emotional event, something that happens. One of them suffers, a loss of face in the other one's eyes, or a loss of intimacy, or a loss of respect.